I chose the brief of remixing the current Adobe logo. This is something I'm familiar with and I enjoy, so I wanted to put my skills and knowledge to the test with this brief. I had to keep the current shape of the logo for a young creative audience, and I had to think about the colour, typography and imagery, etc. And then I had to create a campaign for my ideas. Having a set brief got me to stick to certain targets to create my final logo. After reading the brief, I created 6 thumbnail sketches. 3 of them I added backgrounds to, and all of them I changed the colours of, as well as having to keep the shape. I wanted to keep it simple as well as memorable. I then started doing research into the Adobe logo, which included the old logo and the new logo and the difference in background colours. And then I moved on to researching the most popular Adobe Creative Cloud program, which was Photoshop. This research really helped my design decisions because it allowed me to decide what colours to use and what colours not to use, and also whether I wanted to use a background or to completely take that away. I then started brainstorming and creating mood boards to help me with my design ideas. Choosing specific colours, touch points and trends allowed me to successfully meet the brief as well as my target audience's needs. Developing brainstorms further, I was able to go into depth about why I would use those colours, what touch points I would use to promote my logo, and how it would all come together as a campaign. Creating mood boards helped me get creative and research a bit further into colours and styles, helping me finalise my ideas. I then had to develop my brainstorms further, so I looked at things like the programs I would use, for example, Illustrator to create the logo and InDesign to possibly create the campaign. I then looked at the colours, which were going to be purple, red and blue, to really enhance different things like power, ambition and trust into my logo. When developing my mood board, I then designed a few sketches that would really help me decide what I was going to choose for my final logo. I also did a brainstorm for my campaign ideas, so things that met the brief, like a young target audience, marketing mix, like where I was going to do it, like TikTok, how I was going to do this, slogans, colours, and how I was going to use Adobe and bring the Adobe brand into my design. I then did some research that would really help me with my chosen brief, and I could take inspiration from a specific designer's work. Rob Janoff is known for his design of the Apple logo with the use of bright colours. I loved his simplicity as well as the use of colours, which works well for designers. I also chose to research about Lyndon Leader, who is known for his memorable logo for FedEx. I've always found this logo inspiring and clever for the creation of the arrow between the E and the X. His work also inspired me for his use of 2 colours that contrast well together, which I took this on for my final logo using the colours red and blue. Finally, I researched about Saul Bass. I've always enjoyed looking at his work since school and found his logo designs memorable, creative and inspiring. From this image of his work, I liked how minimal his designs were but recognisable. They all have crisp shapes or outlines and use just one or a few colours, which stops it from becoming overcomplicated. These logos helped me to create my final design from his use of simplicity but perfection. I then created 8 scamps, and these allowed me to put the colours together and the shapes together that I was going to use for my final design. I then created some designs in Adobe Illustrator, which allowed me to develop my ideas further, and this got me a step closer to my final design. I then created an unconscious bias, which was me assuming that my target audience would always like what I like, but I needed to realise that the society nowadays is diverse and people like different styles and different colours. My new versions of the original designs had a black stroke, which gave it more of a darker depth. Then took 2 designs to be developed further, and this helped me focus specifically on making a final logo. I then created an app mock-up and a bus stop mock-up so we could see what the logo looked like in real life. This benefited my final design because I could see how the logo would look in visible places and if anything needed to be changed. I cleaned up my logo, replacing the coloured splats with just purple to link back to my colour choices and make the final design more professional. Here you can see the campaign video I created to persuade my target audience to use Adobe Creative Cloud. I created this in iMovie and added original sound from iMovie, imagery and video, including a TikTok. I created the videos off my iPhone and all the other designs in Illustrator.